flOw, released as a Flash game in 2006, then retooled and released on PS3, PSP, PS Vita, and PS4 in the following years, is an indie game from That Game Company, who were also behind Flower and Journey. It's really a very simple game. You're given a few basic input methods at the start, and that's all you need. I played on the PS4, so I'd move my character by tilting the DualShock 4 in the direction I wanted to travel. The X button would let me dash or do a special move, the options button would pause the game, pretty basic things. flOw was designed as a basic way of showcasing dynamic difficulty adjustment as part of designer Genova Chen's master thesis. So as that would suggest, the game dynamically adjusts its difficulty depending on player input, though honestly there isn't much difficulty in this game, and due to its overall simplicity, I think that's actually beneficial to the overall product. In flOw, you take command of one of a few basic organisms and choose to either eat other organisms to grow and evolve, or stay small and try to weave through larger organisms that want to eat you to get to the end of a level. Advancement comes down to working through what can be best described as layers. Finding an organism with a glowing red sphere and eating it will move you to a deeper plane, and finding a similar organism with a blue sphere will take you back to the plane you just came from. The entirety of the content in the game can't really be boiled down. It's just as simple as eating organisms, tackling a few unique organism behaviors like being able to freeze you or dodge you very well, then eating a red sphere to progress to the next plane and continuing until you've reached the final plane for a particular organism. It's very easy to reach a kind of zen with this game, near mindlessly chasing down everything you can eat in an attempt to grow and see what visually appealing way your character will change next. Watching my weird little organism start small and grow into a very large, complex creature was oddly compelling to me, and it definitely kept my attention. If it weren't for the motion controls, this would probably be an interesting choice to introduce someone to video games with, but perhaps even with them it still is. The handling is a bit weird to come to terms with, but once you've spent a few minutes with it, movement starts to make sense and becomes a breeze. This game actually reminds me a lot of a game I played when I was younger called Go Fish, which was kind of a knockoff of Shark, where basically you were a small fish eating other fish to grow larger to eat bigger fish. I think due to fondness of that title, it helped me warm up to flOw once I gave it a sincere chance. I'd be loath not to mention the game's art direction, which is kind of a mandate to say when talking about a game from That Game Company. Much like its gameplay, the art is very simplistic, but employs a nice range of colors and interesting shapes to keep things attractive. Sound design is also simplistic, but incredibly effective. I found myself quite gripped by flOw for the hour or so it lasted, and by the time I got to the credits, I was wishing there was more to this game. It's a very simple thing, but crafted so nicely and interestingly that I think it's a hard game to play and not wind up at least very amused by it, if not slotting it away as a strong contender for games to de-stress to. Some might choose to call it more of an art piece than a game, and I suppose I couldn't fault them too much for doing so, but I think it's a solid start to That Game Company's lineup and an interesting card in PlayStation's deck. I'll add that while the game has DLC and 4-player multiplayer, I was unable to try either for this review. This has been MykonosFan, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Learning to Love PlayStation. This video was generously supported by the following folk on Patreon. Thank you.